Welcome back, you beautiful souls. This is the next installment to my villain Deku. Where we last left off our story, All Might was on the rooftop that he had met up with Izuku. That he had a conversation with Izuku, and Izuku had given him a minor regeneration quirk that he came across, albeit violently, not like he normally does. So when Izuku puts a portion of his blood in someone, what it's doing is two things. It's basically giving them a pain medication, but it's also, how do I say, it pretty much lessens the effects of the quirk transfer, but it also does a little something to them that he can track them. And, well, the reason why Katsuki didn't start convulsing is because Izuku basically was returning a portion of a quirk. He wasn't transferring a full quirk. It was a partial power. So, that being said, we cut to our story. All Might's standing there, and he goes into his buff form, and he's not feeling any strain whatsoever. And he's just thinking, it's like, well, I'm gonna have to bring this kid in. I can't get anyone else involved. They would ask too many questions. If what the kid says is right, he's after All for One. In any case, I'm gonna have to bring this kid in before he gets himself hurt. Not knowing, Izuku has been spending the years since his quirk manifested collecting more and more quirks. Because Izuku had been thinking, it's like, well, if Dad has the same quirk, that means he's probably stockpiled all kinds of things. And Izuku's been slowly working towards a perfect quirk combination that he can take his father down. With. And he didn't want to give up the regeneration quirk, but after seeing the damage that was actually done, the only way for it to properly heal was for him to give him that regeneration quirk in its entirety. Because it already was a weak quirk to begin with, and Izuku's thinking, I could potentially find another. They're uncommon, but not hard to find if you have the right connections, is what he was thinking. So back to All Might. He's like, well, that took a lot out of me. I still feel dizzy. I'm gonna turn into the night. And, well, tomorrow, it's time for me to, start cleaning up this city. And I'm gonna start with this neighborhood. Maybe that will draw him out. So, the next day, news reports of All Might popping up all over the city, and reports of him cleaning out an entire neighborhood. Basically, he made several dozen arrests of villains and everything in this neighborhood. And then he started going throughout the entire city. Towards the end of the day, All Might has buffed down because he's wanting to go incognito. And when he gets to a certain side of this, to like near the bus station, he hears a scream, and he immediately runs into like an alleyway, buffs up, and then jumps into the direction where he heard the scream. When he lands, he sees like a man laying on the ground. Then he sees a boy helping a woman up, and then he hears the boy say, "Ma'am, are you okay?" Thank you, young man. He tried to. And he sees the boy. He hears the boy say, "It's okay, ma'am. Here." And Kotsky pulls out shorts and a shirt from his backpack and hands them to the woman. And he's like, "Put these on, ma'am. We'll get you some help. I've already called an ambulance and police. Someone should be here shortly. In any case, I'll stay here with you until help arrives." Then Kotsky sees All Might, and he's like, All Might! It's All Might! And Kotsky fanboys a little bit. And All Might's like, "Calm down, young man. It's okay. So you took this villain out. And what?" And then he sees like the woman's like ripped shirt and like her ripped dress. And he just stops and he walks over to the woman and he's like, "Lady, you'll be fine. We'll get you help. Like the young boy said, an ambulance is already on the way." And the man like starts to get up, and All Might just kind of rushes over to him, karate chopping him and pulling out some cuffs from his pocket and handcuffs the guy to a pole. And then he turns around and he's like, "Young man, using your quirk, even though you did a good deed, using your quirk without a permit or a hero license is against the law." And before he can finish that, Kotsky pipes up and says, "I didn't use my quirk like last week, All Might. I used martial arts. I was just walking by and I heard like the woman scream, and then I turned in the alley and well, the guy he All Might says, 'I know, young man, from what he kind of leans in and it's like, "I know, he was trying to rape her." "In any case, young man, you did a good job here. What's your name? And what do you mean by last week?" And Kotsky says, "Well, you've probably seen the news reports, but I got caught by a sludge villain last week, and I kind of took out the shopping district with my explosions." In All Might's shocked, he then says, "Wait, if I'm not mistaken, Bakugo Kotsky from what those reports were saying." And Kotsky says, Yeah, I know. After yesterday, I just decided to go for a walk today to think about some things." And All Might's a little interested by this. "And so you came across this scene and you helped out. You did a good job, young man. And well, I've actually been thinking about searching you out." And Katsu's like, "Why would you want that, All Might?" And All Might smiles and is like, "Not yet. Let's get the lady taken care of, and I would like to speak with you, young man, about something." So a police and an ambulance arrive, and they make sure that the young woman is taken care of, and she will be going to the hospital to get an evaluation. And this is when All Might like grabs Kotsky and jumps away, and landing on a roof. And he's like, oh my, why'd you do? And he's like, calm down, young man. I wanted to ask you this. What do you want to do with your life? And this is when Katsuya says, I want to be a hero. No, it's not that I want to be a hero. I have to become a hero. I have to. And he stops right there. And All Might's like, what's wrong? And he's like, well, I want to be a hero like you, All Might. I want to save everyone. And I have a personal goal that I can't tell anyone about. And All Might's thinking, like, huh. So the kid has something in his past that he's trying to correct, or there's something that he wants to do. Well, young man, I want to offer you a chance. Where do you plan on going to school at? And Katsuki's like, I want to go to UA, your old alma mater. I figured if I want to become a hero like you, All Might, I need to go to the best school in the nation. And All Might begins to laugh, and he's like, well, after your exploits last week, in talking with you while we waited for the ambulance and everything, and you helping that lady out, there's no doubt in my mind that you will become a fine hero. And well, if you want to become the best, do you want to receive some training from the best? And Katsuki's eyes light up, and he's like, really? You want to train me, All Might? And All Might's like, he's thinking, it's like, man, this kid really has like the heart of a hero. Maybe he really would be a good candidate. So then he tells Katsuki to show up to our favorite beach in the series, Dagobah Beach. Like tomorrow. And we'll start your training. But keep it a secret, young man. People know I'm here in the city, and well, if we're going to get you trained properly, you need to not let anyone know I'm going to be training you. With that, we cut over to a scene like a little bit later in the afternoon, and a guy comes through the door, and he's like, boss, and then he's like, and then the dude's like, shit, I didn't mean to interrupt. And he gets immediately impaled, like, in the shoulder with an icicle. And Deku says, I thought I told you guys to knock when we're in here. As he gets out of bed and he gives Toga a kiss on the forehead, and he's like, sweetie, take your time and get dressed. And Izuku puts on like a pair of shorts, and he walks over, basically pulling the shard out of the guy's shoulder, and the guy's like, I'm sorry, boss, don't. And Izuku's like, I'm not gonna kill you or take your quirk, man. So our guest is here. I take it our guest is here. And the guy says, yeah, she's here. And Toga says, what do you mean, she? And the guy quickly goes out the room, and he tells the guy, go see the doctor and get that taken care of. And Izuku turns around as Toga like gets up, and she's wearing underwear. And no, they didn't, but they were about to. And Deku is just thinking, it's like, damn it, always getting fucking interrupted. Because at this point, Izuku has really become to really like Toga, and they have become an item They're not boyfriend and girlfriend, but everyone in the organization knows that Toga is the boss's girl. In hell, she's like, in their minds, like, she's known to be like the second in charge of the group. So Deku, he's kept his organization to a small handful of people. That way he can keep people in check. Because he's not completely evil. Yeah, he'll kill a fool. But in his eyes, they've got to be a pure evil villain. The people that he's taken in have been abandoned by society. Like, they have some criminal tendencies, but they're not evil. They're not villains. Well, at least in his mind, they're not villains, but by law, they're considered villains. So he walks out, and he's met with a girl, and she's like, "What's going on?" And Izuku walks over to her and says, "Calm down, calm down. Nobody here is going to hurt you." And she's like, but, looking down at her wrist. And Izuku sees it, and he immediately turns to, like, the two guys he tasked to, like, bring her here. And they just, like, started to run. And Izuku pops into a shadow, into, like, the girl's shadow, and then pops into, like, their shadows. Pops out of their shadows, grabbing them and bashing their skulls together, knocking them out. And then he walks over to the girl, and he's like, "Doc, get in here." An older guy walks in, and he's like, "What is it, boss?" He's like, "Heal the girl." And he's like, "What? She doesn't seem..." And then he sees, like, the cut and abrasions on her wrist. And he immediately runs over and heals her. Basically cutting his hand and placing it on, like, taking the blood and putting it on, like, her wounds. And she begins to heal. And Izuku then turns to the girl, because he was looking at the gentleman, basically waving his hands to like a few other people to take them away. And he's like, he turns back around and he says, "I'm sorry about that. I was very explicitly said to bring you in willingly. I'm sorry if you're here against your will, but I wanted to meet you. I have an offer for you." So now we cut back. We skip a week, and Izuku, he's talked to this girl, and she has agreed to do a job for him. So now we cut over to All Might and Katsuki. And while Katsuki has explained to All Might what his quirk is, and All Might has tasked Katsuki to clean up the beach. And after seeing Katsuki take off his shoulder, his, like, shirt and everything, he notices that Katsuki's body is actually pretty well developed, and he's thinking, is like, he won't need any training about that. But in any case, I'm gonna let him continue doing it by hand. So a couple of months pass. I would say five. We're about 6 months into Kotsky getting trained by All Might before the entrance exam. And Kotsky has learned that All Might has like a Small Might form. And All Might has been in this form when he's like instructing Kotsky, because he's doing this in incognito, and a few police have stopped by, and All Might produces like the permits for him for the young boy to like use his quirk, because Kotsky has been like using his quirk like the last week to kind of destroy some objects, like to kind of blow apart some objects that were too big for him to like actually carry. And this is the same time that he's cleaned up the beach. And All Might turns to Kotsky, and he's talking with him. It's like, young Bakugo, you've exceeded my expectations. I thought this would take you 8 months. And this is when Kotsky says, well, I kind of been pushing myself past my limits. I've been trying to get better. I've got to bring him in myself. I failed him when we were kids. And All Might's like, failed him when you were kids? Bring him in. Who are you talking about? And Kotsky puts his hands over his mouth, and he's like, shit. He's like, well, crap. I guess I should tell you. Well, you know the villain Reaper? I wasn't exactly honest. I had a run-in with him with the sludge villain, you know that. But I spoke with him about a week after that. And, well, my suspicions about it were confirmed that day. He's an old childhood friend I bullied, and, well, I failed him back there. I realized my mistakes after he disappeared, and, well, I want to be the person that brings him in. I have to become a hero. I have to become strong enough to face him. I don't want him to die. The kind of life he's living now, he's not completely gone, All Might. I know the good kid that I used to know is still in there, even though it's deep down and it's covered with all kinds of crap. I have to bring him in. I have to be the one that brings him in. I can't let him die. I can't let something happen to him in the life that he's living. God forbid he kills another hero. God forbid he kills like more people. The more lives he takes, the more it's on my hands. I have to fix this, All Might. And this is when All Might kind of grabs Kotsky, giving him a hug, and he's like, your friend's Izuku Midoriya, isn't it? And this is when Kotsky breaks away, and he's like, I know, how do you know that, All Might? And he's like, I've been keeping this from you. I had a run-in with him. Years ago, I had a fight with a villain that, well, young... One more. Sorry about the pause in this one, but I got interrupted. Where we last left off, All Might was explaining about Izuku. So, young Kotsky, do you truly want to bring your old friend in? And Yati says, if it's the only thing I accomplish as a hero, so be it. I don't care about anything else. I can't fail him, All Might. I really can't. Everything what he's become, I feel like it's my fault, and I've got to fix my mistake. And this is when All Might says, young Bakugo, I've been training you these past months to kind of judge your character. And after hearing that, and your connection with young Midoriya, I feel like you're the perfect candidate to be my successor. And Katsuki's like, what do you mean, All Might? Be your successor? And he's like, I want you, young man, to become the next symbol of peace. You have it in you. And you have a noble goal to fix a mistake that you made in the past. What young Midoriya has become, you may have had a hand in it, but don't blame yourself for all the evils that he's done. It will drive you mad one day if you do. And to be my successor, I want you to inherit my quirk. I feel with your strong explosion quirk and the quirk that was given to me when I was younger by my mentor, you will definitely accomplish this goal. And Katsuki's like, what, your quirk? You can transfer your quirk? Wait, are you like him? Can you? And All Might's like puts his finger up to his mouth, and he points over, and Katsuki's like, sorry, but All Might, are you like Izuku? Are you Izuku's old man? And All Might laughs. He's like, no, young man. My quirk. And then All Might explains the whole one for all. And then he asks Katsuki one more time. He's like, so young man, will you take my quirk? And Katsuki says, if you think I'm worthy, All Might, I will accept the burden and the power. And All Might laughs, and he buffs up, and he pulls a hair out, and he says, eat this. And Katsuki's a little freaked out, and then All Might explains, you have to digest some of my DNA in order to inherit the quirk. You won't feel it right away, young man, but you will. It will take a day or so. How about this? Take tomorrow off. And be careful, because if you activate your quirk without knowing how to control it properly, you can get hurt. I have some things I want to set up. And also, meet me at this location the following day. I have a few things I need to set up as well with your continuing your training. So Bakugo goes home, and his mom asks him, like, so how was your training for like the entrance exam, sweetie? And Katsuki's like, I went well, Mom. I made a lot of progress. I can do this now. And Katsuki produces like a somewhat of like compounded explosion that goes off a lot of heat. And his mom's like, whoa, you've been working on your quirk control that much? And Katsuki's like, yeah, Mom, but I'm kind of tired. I'm going to rest the rest of the day and tomorrow. So Katsuki, he spends the rest of the day kind of contemplating, like, and thinking. He's like, Deku, I'm gonna save you. I'm definitely gonna save you. So this is where I'm going to end this part in something I need you guys to do. I had 5 candidates for the girl. I didn't name her because depending on which of the 5 that you beautiful souls vote on, I will keep this poll open up until 1800 this evening, which is 6 p.m. East, 6 p.m. for the non 24-hour users, and this is Eastern. So that is 1 moment. All right, I found it. So the 5 girls that this could be is either Momo, Kendo, or Raka, Jiro, or an OC that I made for a different series that I can actually bring into this one. And for those of you who originally were asking for my villain Deku, no, this isn't Ymir Deku. This is a different character, and it's based off a DC. So that being said, I will put down in the comment section a pinned comment. You just reply to that one, the number of your pick, and I will list them in numbers. So that being said, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you beautiful souls in the next video.